Hello everyone, I'm Lola Reyes and this is Watching and Reading. I'm here to review a book, Kenjay's Takeover by Natavia, and this book is the second book in the Don't Come Looking for Love series. So I've reviewed the first book one, Don't Come Looking for Love, right? So this is the continuation of the story book two. The one ended where Carla came to Kenjay's house and unalived his mom and shot Latavia, right? Kenjay comes to the house and sees like the scene. He's furious, and Carla actually writes a message on the wall. Carla was here, right? So he already knew who did it. He rushed Latavia and his mom to the hospital, but of course his mom was already unalived, and Latavia was pregnant for him, so he had to like remove the baby, and the baby was already unalive as well. And it was I really like the way the author wrote that part of the book. Like it was very very emotional. I actually felt it. I felt the emotions because in the same week, Kenji had to bury his mom and bury the unborn son, right? And this kind of like caused a friction between him and Latavia, right? Because Latavia knew that he had some kind of business to do with Carla, and that's why she came back to get her like that. The whole thing like affected their relationship. Like they're always angry at each other, shouting at each other. Like I really, really like the way this author wrote it. Like this author is able to pen down emotions. That's one thing I've noticed with this particular author, this Nativia. I don't know if it's a he or she. This person is able to pen down emotions so well that you are reading it and you're actually feeling it the way it happened. It was just such a sad time. It was like really, really hard to read, but I like that it was very, very emotional. Now, something that Kenji did not know is that Carla and Lativia actually knew each other before this incident. What had happened was that when Carla was younger and her mom noticed that she had split personality, right? Her mom had taken her to this psychiatric hospital. Whereas Lativia, on the other hand, suffers from bipolar disorder, which is also a mental problem. So her mom too took her to the same mental hospital, and that's where Lativia met Carla. So like they knew each other from before this incident with Kenji. This is the secret that she didn't tell Kenji. Just her family and Britain, who is her best friend, her new best friend now, knew about it. Because of what had happened with Kenji's mom, had happened with her unborn child, like she sort of slipped into that's Lativia now, sort of slipped into depression and she stopped using her medication. And the bipolar stuff started to come back. Another secret that Lativia had was that she is actually married to Dequan and she never told anybody. Like it's only her brother that knew that she was married. And unfortunately for her, the person that she's married to happens to be working for Kenji, who she's currently dating, who she almost had a child with. The marriage to Dequan is actually explained like when Kala was still a very young lady, she was actually dating Dequan, who happened to be her brother's friend. So something had happened and Dequan was arrested, right? So because now, young, dumb and broke stuff, because she was still very young and she wanted to prove to Dequan that like she's really the babe for him. She went ahead and married him while he was incarcerated, right? So now he has been released and he's now working for Kenji. And he started to blackmail her with that information that she's still his wife and he wants her to leave Kenji to come back to him. But now that Latavia is older, she knows the kind of man that she wants, and Kenji is the kind of man that she wants. And now she's in a dilemma. She doesn't know what to do about it, right? So Kenji found out that it was Carla's mom that released her from the women's mental institution that he put her. You understand that because he sent her to a women's mental institution after he found out what she was trying to do with Yaga. So he discovered that it was her mother that released her. He went to meet Carla's mom and gave her what she was supposed to receive. And then he sat down to plan how to get back at Carla for what she did to him. So what had happened was that he sent one of his cousins, Shine, to receive Carla into a relationship. So Carla met Shine and started dating him, not knowing that he was related to Kenji. And oh my god, Shine actually dealt with her. Like Shine dealt with her and the relationship, I don't know why. Oh my god, that character, that Kenji, that guy is savage. Like he just punished her because that relationship didn't need to be that long. But wow, I don't want to say much so I can get the book to read it. Like here and Shine actually planned it and Shine actually showed her hell before Kenji shows up one day after so many months and tells Carla, oh hi there, I'm the one that set you up with my cousin and whatnot, and then he unalives her because of what she did. Anyway, Kenji later finds out about Lativia's husband and that also affects their relationship again. Like their relationship was already having problems and this one just added to it. So it was just constant arguing, shouting, accusing. This person will leave this person and come back. That person will leave that person and come back. On and off kind of stuff. But somehow, Daquan was trying to take over Kenji's business, right? So he was trying to take over Kenjay's business. He tried to unalive Kenjay, but somehow, unfortunately, got unalived by someone else without Kenjay's knowledge, right? Because what happened was that there are some other people too who were after Kenjay because of that same business as well. So it was those people who mistakenly unalived Dequan, thinking that Kenjay would be with him. But that's how Dequan's issue just got settled. People are, like I said, people were after Kenjay's life, and it was like too much for him. And because they were after his life, there was even a time they came to like shoot out his house where he was staying, and he was staying there he was with Latavia, he was with Usher, he was with Britain, he was like with the whole family when the shootout started. So that one again discouraged Latavia, and she just told him straight up that if he doesn't leave the street business history, she's not going to come back to him because she can't risk her life. Because at that point, Latavia was pregnant again for Kenjay. So she was saying she couldn't risk her life and the pregnancy that she has the second time because of the kind of life that she's living. So she left, right? So after much investigation and stuff, Kenjay finds out that it's actually his father who has sent these people to honor life, and his father Javier. He went to his grandma to ask, like, why would his father want to do that kind of thing to him? So it was at his grandma's place he discovers the truth that Javier is not actually his biological father, it's someone else. Leodonis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. That information, Javier has it. And that's why Javier is angry at Kenjay. I want to just get rid of him and take over Kenjay's business. So the plot twist here is Britain's mind-reading father, because in book one, we were told that Britain's father got involved in an accident and it like affected his mind. So he was acting like a child and stuff. And he was staying with his mom. That's Britain's grandmother, right? Britain's father is Lenny. And the plot twist here is that Lenny happens to be the mastermind of offering Kenjay in the whole of this game. I don't want to say more than that. So I'll just stop the review here. I'll stop talking about the story here so that you could get the book. The first thing I'll say I like about the series so far, that's after reading book 1 and 2, is I like that this book is actually had actually taken up the topic of mental illness in black people, right? Because mental illness is something that black people don't take seriously, like generally, not just American blacks, like all over the world. Black people generally don't consider mental illness as anything. But like this book, I like that it picked on that topic, focused on it, talked about different types of mental illnesses, the ones that can be harmful and the ones that can be managed and stuff like that. Then another thing I liked about this book is the diversity in black culture, like describing the ancestry of each of the characters, right? Because in book 1, I actually thought Kenjay was actually like black. I don't want to sound like as if I'm insulting. I thought he was like black. It was in this book it was explained that he's black, part Spanish, part Vietnamese. So that's his kind of black. And the way it was described, he had slanting eyes like Chinese. So whenever people want to insult him, even in the hood, whenever they want to insult him, they just go, oh, this Chinese mother F. So like I really like that part was it was also touched on as well, diversity in the black community. I also like the fact that a lot of time was spent focusing on the grieving of young parents. That's talking about Kenjay and Latavia, because that's the thing with relationships. Sometimes it's better. That's why sometimes it's better to be a bit mature, because when you are younger and some kind of things happen, the emotions are too much that both people in that relationship can't really handle it well. So I like that this part was focused on, because they were both young, they're trying to start up a family, and that kind of tragedy happened to them, like losing a child and stuff. So the way the emotions were high, they're just going after each other, the off and on stuff, until they just decided that, you know what, they're no longer doing this anymore. They decided to be mature about it. So I like that part too was touched on. I personally think this book 2 is more interesting than book 1. But of course, like in every book series, if you don't read book 1, you'll never get what's going on in book 2. But this one was more interesting than book 1. Then some other family member, I like this book too. Another thing book 2 showed was Kenjay's family, right? So all his cousins, because Kenjay happened to be the only child of his mom. So all his cousins, were introduced to us in this book, and their characters and the rest. So we see that Kenjay is actually close and tight with his family from his mother's side, more than that of his father's side, right? So I like that the family was introduced to us, and these two particular people, he has twin cousins, that's Samir and Jamil, who are very close, who look identical and stuff. And everybody used to think Samir is the bad guy and Jamil is the good guy. But somehow along the line, as the story was going, we saw that it was the other way around, because Jamil actually started to he was dating Samir's baby mama behind Samir's back. Somebody's twin brother, and stuff. And at the end of the day, both twin brothers discovered that the baby mama played both of them, because she told Samir that her son was for him, and she told Jamil that her son was for him, whereas the child was for someone totally different, someone outside of their family. So I think because there's a book tree, right? So I think in the book tree is going to focus more on the way because the way the story was being told, I think they will focus more on Samir and Jamir in book three, alongside Kenjay and Oshe. This book two didn't really hammer on Oshe and Britain, right? They were just there. They're almost like supporting characters in this one. Anyway, they've had their time in book one, so I guess that's why they allowed them to rest here. So I'll try to get to read it and review it as well. So that's that for this review. See you in the next one. Bye.